Welcome to TMZ Live. The mother of Hayden Panettiere has spoken out for the first time since Hayden's death, and she is directing considerable anger at Hayden's boyfriend, Brian Hickerson.
Yeah, Leslie Vogel basically said that, at the very least, she's saying Brian was a bad influence on Hayden, and she says that it's been that way for years. In her words, she said, this person in her life that we have been trying to get rid of for quite some time was with her at her death, and that was Brian Hickerson. She also went on to say...
She didn't close the loop on that, but there's certainly an intimation there.
Right. And, well, I mean, the fact she's saying they wanted him out of her life for years clearly means that and by the way, Brian himself told us that they were better off not being together.
Well, if you remember, in 2019, he was actually charged with beating Hayden and ended up serving 5 years probation, and there was a restraining order that Hayden got against him. So it was one of these toxic, codependent relationships where it never ended.
Now, one other thing that Leslie said, she told NBC News, this is about Hayden's career and her challenges. She said, I think Hayden was an amazingly talented person in so many departments. It is a struggle, and it's a very challenging industry, and it's not unusual for them to sadly find the wrong path.
I'm not sure that this is the correct messenger, and the reason why I say that is because Leslie and her daughter Hayden were estranged for many, many years. They had major problems. Of course, Leslie was Hayden's manager throughout the time that she became a massive superstar, but they did have a huge falling out, and I know you guys mentioned that interview that I did with Brian Hickerson 3 months ago. I asked him about Leslie during that interview, and he did not have kind things to say about her either.
Which you would expect, because he's with Hayden. And
Leslie and her then husband, we covered some of the craziness in that family.
Yeah, I believe the dad was arrested. He got in trouble for some sort of fight with the mom. Like, they had a ton of drama.
It was Lohan-esque.
It was very Lohan-esque.
It was, yeah.
Also in this interview, Leslie said that the story that we broke yesterday, she confirmed that Hayden and Brian were together. She said the whole time they were together, that everyone secretly...
That they've been, even though publicly we've been saying on and off, what was really going on is they were together the whole time, but people in the industry told her, this is not a good look for you to be with this person who's been convicted of abusing you.
They were in rehab together, and it did not stop after that. I mean, there was still substance abuse. There were all sorts of issues. So when she says he's with the wrong person, Hayden had her struggles with substance abuse all of her adult life. And I think when she says that...
To put it all on Brian feels...
harsh.
Yeah.
It feels harsh.
Yeah.
But we do know that Brian was there. I mean, we know he was there, and his brother was there when the paramedics arrived.
I think it's safe to say that Brian was probably one of the last people to see Hayden alive. We know in the incident report by the Greenville Police Department, it does say that when the responding officers were there, they spoke to first both Brian's brother, Zach, and they said that Zach was extremely emotional when they were
watching them try to
He was watching them trying to resuscitate Hayden, and they said that Brian was not emotional. However, when they did declare that Hayden passed away on the scene, he then became overwhelmed with grief. They also note that Brian gave police a bag of medications that Hayden had been taking during the time of her death.
So the intimation there is that she may have overdosed on this medication. We don't know. They're doing toxicology reports. They usually take a month or more to see what was in Hayden's system, and that's going to be extremely revealing whether it is medication or something else. What's interesting is that Brian's brother Zach apparently had come into the unit and found Hayden, and what we're hearing is that Brian may have been asleep, and because if Brian were awake, he would have been the one to,
Right.
to immediately call 911. It seems like it was the brother who called. We don't know for sure.
But that's what we're hearing.
But, if he was asleep and the brother walks in, this toxicology report's going to be really revealing.
Well, Harvey, our chat is kind of hitting the consensus that it seems like despite who was there or not, that bad company sometimes leads to bad outcomes, and Hayden was so at risk that her being around him, period, was bad for her.
See,
I think her
I
mom
know,
would
I
agree.
get
Yeah.
why they're saying that and why her mom would say that, but also when you know that they were together all this time, where we thought they were apart sometimes, if they were together all this time, she had good moments, right? So there were times where she was doing better.
I got to say, I disagree with you. I think what happened in 2019, where she said she was so badly beaten that she couldn't leave the house for weeks, that becomes a deal breaker. I mean, we don't know what happened.
They did break up during that time, just to be clear.
Right, but
so
I'm
they
saying
have
once
had a
that
couple
happens,
breakups.
once that happens.
Oh, I'm not advocating that they should have been together.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just like you said, to lay whatever happened to her, to lay that just at Brian's feet, just seems.
But we don't know that it was happy times after, is what I'm saying.
No.
Well, our chat has one more interesting question about this, asking what constitutes an autopsy if no foul play was to be found?
No, they're going to do a toxicology to find out cause of death.
The autopsy is complete as of yesterday.
Yeah, the toxicology is what they always do in a situation like this, and it will reveal what was in her system at the time of death, and that is probably going to align with cause of death.
Hannah, Ohio. I personally think that anytime someone passes away in the presence of someone who has been historically violent with them, you have to ask questions about it. I think that the bag of medications being found is not all that unusual. She had just been traveling. We all pack up our bags of medications and travel. She had been super open about her struggles with anxiety, her ongoing pain she had been in. So I don't think that is abnormal at all. As far as her mother, I think you have to take that with a bit of a grain of salt. And I agree somewhat with what she's saying about the company you keep and what it can lead to, but at the same time, the estrangement I think is very important to this.
It is Election Day in Florida.
Yes, in several places in the country, they are holding primaries today, but Florida is the one we are focusing on here because Congressman Randy Fine is running, and he is out campaigning, but there is a video that shows him out campaigning, actually knocking on doors, which is not uncommon for a congressman, but it's what he does.
Now, what about this?
On camera here. So,
What's he staring at there?
waiting for someone to come out, answer the door. No one's coming to the door. Let me look around their porch here.
So then Randy...
And he's looking right at that mailbox.
And
you're
then-
thinking, don't do it, don't do it.
And he does. And so he doesn't pull mail out, but he's certainly kind of looking.
He is very curious about what is. I don't know if he's trying to figure out something
Is there a
about
flyer for
what
another
kind.
candidate?
Could be looking for an opponent's flyer.
Which, by the way, it's irrelevant because he's gonna not only win the primary, but
Yes,
he's gonna win
he's
the
gonna
general.
win the seat,
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's a safe seat, and so
It's weird, dude.
It's
I mean,
weird.
who looks
But
through
it's just
somebody else's
weird.
mailbox when they're a total
when you're an
stranger?
elected, when you're a
You're an
member of
elected
Congress,
official.
why would you do that?
And-
well, they didn't want. Look, we saw the video. It looked like Randy Fine, but we weren't sure it was Randy Fine,
we
and
called his office.
and they said, "Yep, Randy
It's him.
Fine."
Yep, it's him.
And,
but they didn't want to comment about what you see in the video. It just seems a bit untoward for a member of
It's
Congress.
not illegal,
to be,
right?
He didn't break any
The rule
laws.
says federal law, you can't steal, damage,
Or open.
or open somebody else's mail.
And he didn't do any of that.
But I guess you can snoop at what they're getting.
But
He also
why?
could be trying to figure out what kind of person is like. Did they get some
Yeah, but
other
what-
piece of mail
like
that would
National
give,
Rifle Association.
yeah, that would give him a clue as to whether this person is going to be in his
Oh, here's
camp
the
or not.
donation to NPR. I'm
Right.
not going to hit
And
this
then you
person
go,
up
oh,
anymore.
no,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Right, but how likely is that?
It's pretty small. Pretty
Our
small.
chat made a really good point. Who would do this knowing everyone and their mama has a Ring camera
I know.
today?
I mean, that's the
It's
thing.
awesome.
Part, like,
That's the
But
part.
congressmen are famously out of touch. Like he probably just pays no
There's no-
attention.
I know. I think you know what? He's right. They really are famously out of touch.
But he knows that cameras. He's probably got one.
They're big.
My name is Ben Lewis. I'm based out of Boca Raton, Florida, and I just like to say it must be a slow news day in America for something like this to gain traction. Obviously, as mentioned, Randy did not break any law whatsoever, and anybody that has experience running a political campaign knows that you hit thousands of doors looking to talk to voters, and often that can get confusing where you've been, what doors you have knocked
Why the
on.
mailbox? Why the mailbox?
That's
Well,
not going to tell him that.
Well, I'm going to tell you. So
Okay.
when you're constantly putting promotional flyers out, and it's very possible that Congressman Fine here was just simply checking to make sure he's not hitting a house twice, which politicians are taught all the time can annoy a voter and potentially lose a vote. You know, this video is completely out of context, and I understand.
I just want to say one thing. Whatever he saw in the mailbox wouldn't tell him whether he'd been to that house before.
Well, of course it would, because you would see the promotional flyer that you can quite literally see in his hand in this video.
I don't think he was holding any promotional materials.
Yeah, he wasn't. His hands were.
So if his hands were free, it wasn't
What's in
like he
his
was
hand
going to
there?
put another.
What do you think is in his hand when he's knocking on the door, a potential voter? It is a pamphlet that shows what you're campaigning and what your platform is.
Okay.
This
All
is,
right. All
You
right.
know, this is.
That's a
Listen, I
plausible-
understand that.
I'm curious.
that
Is he your Congress? Is he your
You
congressman?
said Boca Raton. Is
I
that?
know.
He is not. He is not my congressman, but I am very
Who's your
familiar with
congressman?
Congressman
Who's
Fine.
your congressman?
My district just got all switched up. I'm actually in the only blue district now. It looks like in South Florida. So I mean, I'm hoping that we can flip it red.
No.
but, you know,
Who was the
understand.
guy before? Who is the guy currently in your district? I have a
In
vote.
my district?
Yeah.
In Congress, so I just moved to Boca Raton, Florida. I'm not totally familiar
Well, I
with
can
the
just
prior
tell you,
Congress.
we had him on TMZ Live, and he looked at me through Zoom and said, "You look like you should be in a retirement home in Boca Raton." So
Moskowitz. Jared Moskowitz.
Jared Moskowitz said that to me.
Jared Moskowitz? Yeah, it might be yours.
Coming up.
When you said that you noticed that the morale started to be lower, what made you feel like the morale was lower?
Whenever I started asking him over the last 3 months, how do you feel? And when his generalized answer is, well, just get me a gun and a bullet, LOL, I know that there's something wrong.
Be right back.
What is going on aboard the USS Lincoln, the aircraft carrier that has been stationed over in the Mideast during the war with Iran? And there have been reports. There was a CNN report initially that the conditions aboard that ship are horrific, and that there's even one sailor who jumped off, was wearing a vest, but jumped off trying to escape because of the conditions. It's been more than 200 days without a port call. They've been at sea for 200 days.
And there are military blogs that have been chronicling this for now quite some time, that are chronicling the conditions on this ship to a point where several members have allegedly, apparently, reportedly jumped overboard. That bad. Now, President Trump has come out and said that he doesn't think it's been there too long. He thinks it's.
This was him in the Oval Office yesterday.
Well, but before we get to that, he said that there have been ships that have been there a lot longer than the Lincoln. By the way, not true. But he said that, and then he said more yesterday.
Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news.
I just wanted to follow up on the South Korea question.
You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news.
I was trying to find out if you had been talking to Kim Jong-un, if he had asked you to scale back on those military exercises.
Mr. President, is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report. I was at a group meeting, and an admiral came up to see me over the weekend. And it was at a big group, and he happened to be an admiral retired. He said, I've been on ships that are out there much longer than that, sir. And I know people on the Lincoln, they say it's beautifully maintained and beautifully taken care of. And other people went out and they found out to be true. It was fake news reporting from CNN.
So we're going to bring in somebody who is a parent of one of the people on the ship. But before we do, got to say this. Trump is saying he talked to some retired admiral.
Why wouldn't you, the commander-in-chief, speak to someone on the ship now?
Or speak to the Pentagon and say, we want current information as opposed to the bygone era of some retired admiral. I'm sorry, but the idea of doing this anecdotally and saying, hey, we had this retired admiral, he said it's fine, that's not what we're hearing. So let's bring in somebody who has some connection here.
Yes, joining us right now is Danielle. We are not using her last name just to protect her son, who is aboard the USS Lincoln. Danielle, welcome to TMZ Live.
Hi, thank you.
So you have a son who is on that ship. Why don't you explain to us what he has said and give us some time reference on when the complaint started?
Initially, this was supposed to be just a regular deployment. So I don't think that they were prepared for this long haul. Things just kind of happened suddenly. But they had gone out November-ish, and the last time that they had actually seen a port was around December. And then they had not docked. Usually they dock within every 30 days or so, depending on what's going on in the world. But I did notice that around April, he started letting me know that supplies were starting to dwindle, mostly like shower supplies, shaving supplies, which is expected right around that time. But typically they port so they can restock on things. And then just from there, April, May, June, the morale changed. Now, mind you, I really want to clarify, my son is not whining. Okay, he was made for this. None of our soldiers are sitting here saying we expect a cruise ship by any means. But the morale has been the bigger thing. Not knowing when they're going to go home, not knowing what's happening, not knowing what the expectation is for them. And then probably around last week, he had come off of a 16-hour shift, and I asked him just generally, how are you? How are you? And he said, I'm doing great. Do you want to see my tray? And he sent me a picture of what looked like a pile of dog meat or dog food. And I asked him, what else is there? And he said, no, that's it. This is great. I love it. I don't know. He was being facetious. And I was a little bit appalled. And then he had to go. He had to go pull watch for 6 hours, so I didn't get to talk to him any further. But he did actually send me evidence of what he was eating.
When you said that you noticed that the morale started to be lower, what made you feel like the morale was lower? What was being said that made you feel that way?
Sure. It was just my son is very strong. And he is out there doing his job. He's been very committed to being a sailor for the last 5 years. Not usually one to complain. If anything, he's made all his qualifications. He's made rank. But whenever I started asking him over the last 3 months, how do you feel? And when his generalized answer is, well, just get me a gun and a bullet, LOL, I know that there's something wrong. There was one point, I believe was right around June, he did tell me that the analogy that he used for his exhaustion and his level of morale was that he said, do you remember the American Horror Story? I think it was Murder House. He said, it feels like everybody here is dead, but we don't know it yet. And not necessarily claiming that people were dying or suicidal, but he was just trying to explain what it felt like to be trapped and not know what is happening or what's going to be happening.
So my understanding is that there was an end date for the deployment. It was extended twice, and then the sailors were told that it was indefinite. And so I'm hearing you where he is raising obvious concerns and shocking concerns, frankly, about a gun and a bullet. But I'm curious about something else. That I've heard other parents talk about this, and they're very reserved, and they want to make it clear that their kids are tough, that they're not complainers, but there sounds like there's something to complain about, yet people are reluctant. Is it fear of retaliation or what?
I don't know if it's fear of retaliation. I served briefly myself, so I think it's just this general old school attitude of suck it up. Suck it up. This is the military. This is what you signed up for. Just push through. And I don't think that's not even the case in this. I think that our men and women have been pulling through. I think it's that we're not meeting their physiological need: food, sleep, sanitation, basic security. I mean, these are all prerequisites for human performance. I mean, I'm a registered nurse myself. We treat our patients in this aspect. If we don't have what we need to survive, how do we get well? So the same aspect for our soldiers. How do you expect them to be able to take care of national security, global security, but you're not giving them the tools they need to be successful?
I hear what you're saying, and obviously that's going to affect their performance. Do you feel any better knowing that? I know they said they're sending a ship, but I haven't heard a deadline for it.
The George Washington is
on
coming.
the way.
Yeah, and they're going to eventually go to port.
Apparently the Washington is en route. I can tell you that since they've gotten this notification, that just in speaking with my son, his overall positivity, I don't get to talk to him. I've not heard his voice since November. We only get message. But I can hear the change in his messages. There's definitely a sense of relief in his tone.
Is there any reaction to Trump saying the conditions are great, that it's fake news, that they should be there longer? Has he reacted to that?
My son does. They don't know what's going on in the world right now. They don't have access to any media or any news or communications outside of the encrypted messaging that we have. They know nothing about this.
Wow. What do you think?
I support President Trump. I mean, I can disagree with the statement. I think, I think that maybe he wasn't referencing maybe not long enough, was probably mostly in reference to we need to be in the strait longer, not necessarily that ship, but just generally speaking about military power.
Okay.
All right. Well, Danielle, thank you.
We so appreciate you coming
sharing
on
this, and
Thank you. I appreciate it.
the best for your family, and obviously, thank you for. Obviously, we always thank the servicemen and women for their service, but their families are also making sacrifices. So thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up.
Well, as the Lindsey Clancy trial is going on in Massachusetts, a lot of people watching the coverage and sort of playing juror. Among them, Lisa Rinna. Although she had some help, I guess you could say her co-juror was her therapist.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Donnell Rawlings took TMZ DC on a city tour.
You know what the irony of this is? A black man takes a white person to the White House.
It's TMZ.
Well, as the Lindsey Clancy trial is going on in Massachusetts, a lot of people watching the coverage and sort of playing juror. Among them, Lisa Rinna. Although she had some help, I guess you could say her co-juror was her therapist. And here's what they've come up with.
All right, he did it. Patrick did it. Patrick's the one who did it, not Lindsey. I also heard that women typically don't strangle. So awful to even say, but that isn't what a woman would do. They don't strangle. I was actually in therapy today, and my therapist and I were talking about it, and I said, well, what do they do? She said, well, they poison, or I said, oh, or drown them. And she looks at me and she goes, he did it.
Well, here's the thing. It's true that women generally don't strangle, but women also generally don't kill their kids. And so, this could be, it could be one of those outliers, which, again, she jumped out a window afterward.
Right. And I understand why some people are saying that her ex, Patrick, Lisa is not the only person to arrive.
No, this is all over
Lisa
social media.
and her therapist are not the only ones to come up with this theory. But it is interesting that, and I've said this to everyone who brings that theory up to me, that is not Lindsey's defense.
Right.
Her defense is that she had postpartum and that it's sort of
she had a mental
insanity.
She had a mental break. A mental break
But one
that
of the
caused this.
but one of the conspiracy theories that we're going on is that she was brainwashed by her husband to say that. So like if he's brainwashed her into thinking this,
But those,
I hate to say it, but you can only buy into so much crazy. I mean, there is so much in this
but
case.
Harvey, some of these things are not. They just don't align.
But
the
you
time
can't bring that up in a court of law. You
Why?
can't say he brainwashed me. Where's your proof?
Stockholm syndrome is real.
Where's your proof?
That's a real. That's
No,
a
Stockholm syndrome is real.
Yes.
But the thing is,
Everybody is bringing back
I know, I believe it's a thing on TikTok.
We got that.
I believe it's a thing on TikTok.
It's a whole thing that this is something, because right now it's not even like putting blame on Lindsey. Like her defense is saying that she was in postpartum psychosis. What they're saying is that Patrick was there at the time of deaths, that the CVS footage, he changed his shoes, that he wasn't there,
They're
that
also
her
saying
body
the time
temperature,
that
she could have
Harvey,
never.
You brought up that she threw herself out of the window from the time that, that there was a neighbor that saw her. So from the time that she allegedly jumped out of the window and the neighbor saw her, it was 16 minutes that she had to kill her kids.
Her body temperature was 82
You can't do all of that in 16 minutes.
yeah, you can.
No,
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can.
I'm
Yes,
with
you
Lisa.
can.
I'm with
And again,
come on.
I mean,
again,
this is so unfair. If they're
unfair to who? Lindsey?
To the ex-husband.
To Patrick.
Give us proof that he did anything.
It's just,
and you have no proof. It's all speculation. This guy lost 3 of his kids. He is looking at his ex-wife, who has admitted it. He's tortured, and people on social media, without any evidence, are
putting
going
it on
after
him.
this guy
And again,
who lost 3 of his
Lindsey
kids.
herself is on trial and has never raised that as a defense. That's all I'm saying.
Let me just ask you guys one more question. Let me just play devil
advocate.
advocates one more time. How many times have we seen social media sleuths solve crimes?
Yeah, it's happened. This is crazy, and it's unfair. Give us some proof. Show what this guy did.
When they do solve it, they usually have some
She's
proof.
confessed.
I mean,
what did he do that makes you think that confession is bogus
well,
and
to
he
them,
did it?
it's them saying that he was brainwashed. She was brainwashed.
Okay, well, I'm 6'2", okay? Because I said it, does it make it so?
No, you're brainwashing the audience.
No,
You gotta work on your
I'm
brainwashing.
not saying this to be funny. It doesn't make it so. Because somebody on social media is
What
saying...
about the DNA?
Social media is one
Where's
thing.
the proof he did that?
He's not the one who's on trial.
Where is the proof? You've got no proof, and you're
let me just ask you,
you're
why are you
torching
guys
this
so
guy.
gung-ho that he didn't do it?
Because
why are you we've seen
admitted it.
cover-ups.
She admitted it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not buying it. I think that they're trying to make it out to be like some Lifetime movie. The internet's trying to do that. I've got a newborn sitting in the family room right now. There's no excuse to do it. It's her. She did it.
Of course.
They've got her in the courtroom. They know they have enough to know that it wasn't the husband who did it. They have her sitting in the courtroom right now for a reason.
We will see. Like, the trial is going on. I get that people on TikTok or whatever want to say whatever. But the trial is going on, and if they want to raise that defense, we'll see if they do. But to this point, they have not.
A few more questions from the back. They said, what do you guys have to
From
say
the
about...
back? What do you mean?
back. They want to know, what do you
The
guys
back
say
where?
to him being married 3 months after? What are you guys saying about her DNA not being on the
wait,
knife?
let's stop.
What do you guys say?
Stop. He gets married 3 months after. That makes him a murderer, murdering her 3 kids. You're insane to jump to that conclusion.
Why wasn't her DNA on the knife? Why was her DNA only on 1 band, and why was his DNA on 3 bands?
Because he strangled. She strangled him. She strangled them. That's why she strangled them.
Whatever.
Allegedly.
Coming up.
The presidential election still years away, but it is heating up between President Trump and who seems to be now the front runner, one of the front runners for the Democrats, Senator Jon Ossoff.
He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
Be right back.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. The presidential election still years away, but it is heating up between President Trump and who seems to be now the front runner, one of the front runners for the Democrats, Senator Jon Ossoff.
Well, wait a minute. You got an insinuation there that Trump's running again. He's not. I mean,
okay, all right. Well, we'll see.
He's not supposed to.
Anyway, but anyone of the Democrats who wants to run, they know that that's the guy they got to go after, at least at this point. And we'll see as we get closer to 2028. But this started over the weekend, and the president seems more than willing to wade in and go after Senator Ossoff.
Because Ossoff got under his skin.
Yes, and here is the comment that, just one of the comments that the senator made that, as you said, got under the president's skin.
And while the sailors on the Lincoln fight his war, while he fruitlessly drains our munitions and oil reserves, the president sleeps through his meetings. He golfs and trades stocks. See, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
So Natalie is Natalie Harp. Now, she is a just diehard Trump fan who has been with him now for a long time. It's an odd relationship. She writes him these affirmations, these notes about how great he is. And he has said at one point, everybody else in my staff will leave and write books.
And they'll write books eventually.
But you'll never leave me. And it's just this odd relationship. We're not suggesting anything untoward.
Right. And I don't even know if Ossoff was, but oh, come on, Charles. You think so, huh?
Yeah, I think that was disgusting.
But it was one little thing in a string of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're the Democratic Party.
He knew.
It was jab, jab, jab.
Knew.
1,
2, 3.
Right. We're the Democrat Party. We are for women succeeding. We're not sexist, unless we're John Ossoff and we want to take a shot at President Trump.
Can I ask you something?
So wrong.
Can I ask you something? I get your general point.
Yeah.
Why did he take her on that secret jet and leave Marco Rubio on the deco?
What I said this morning?
The Secretary of State.
I'm curious why
was the Secretary of State left behind?
I don't know.
Is it not weird?
She's one of his trusted advisors. Is she green? Sure.
Marco Rubio is his Secretary of State.
I get it.
Is he not a trusted
advisor?
And not him.
He's a senior cabinet member, Marco Rubio is. She works for Trump.
Say this to me with a straight face. Say this to me with a straight face.
I can't.
Okay. While Babcock tries to come up with a response, this is what President Trump said in response.
John Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide, Natalie Harp, and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What is your response, John Ossoff?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman lookalike?
That's the second time he's used the Pee Wee Herman reference, right? He used it for James Tallarico.
Yeah, it's
a go-to.
It's not a good one.
Well,
it's not a good one.
Have you seen the side-by-side?
Well, can I just say...
yes, I know what you're going to say.
Dana Bash from CNN said last night that if Paul Rubens were alive today, he would be very flattered by the comparison. And she said, I'm just saying.
Well, that's what one of our chatters is saying, is wouldn't it be a good thing to be compared to Pee Wee Herman? Like, everybody loves that guy.
Well, everyone loves, but he's talking about it. Looks.
Yeah, it's just. But if that's that's a bad comeback, and
it
John,
did show that he didn't have his usual.
Yeah.
Normally he fires back with a good jab. That was
not
his best material.
I'm AB from Los Angeles, California, and all I'm going to say is that Senator Ossoff did not lie, okay? Trump does not want to do this job because as opposed to using diplomacy and negotiation like a regular president to end this war in Iran, he is trying to declare the Strait of Hormuz U.S. territory. That's just lazy. Additionally, when they pulled that little switcheroo on the Air Force One plane, he took Natalie with him and left everybody else for dead, including Kara.
Not Natalie Wood. That's a whole other story. He took Natalie
Harp. She said Natalie with.
I thought she said Natalie Wood.
Not Natalie Wood. We're not relitigating that one.
Sorry. There has been a discovery 15 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. They have found what they think are human remains. And obviously, the antenna go up.
Yes, and people immediately start thinking, okay, this is the evidence, at least, of where Nancy's body is. But we have spoken to some sources at the FBI. This is not Nancy Guthrie.
These were bleached white bones. And they're bones that, as you can hear from what the description, they're white. And they have been there a long, long time. In fact, somebody in law enforcement told me that this might be actually an archaeological find, although they're not sure of that. But even if it's not, if it's something where it were human remains, they have already determined it is, and this is the way it was put to me, boots on the ground say definitely not Nancy Guthrie. So, you know, because of the proximity, 15 miles.
Of course, it makes sense that there would be, you know, this buzz that maybe this is it.
And this is a very remote area where they had to hike to get there. So, you know, it obviously raised an alarm when they first saw it. But we are told, even though they don't know exactly what it is yet, they say not Nancy Guthrie.
Coming up.
There is a rat in Atlanta. And I don't mean the entire city, but I'm referring to the cast of Real Housewives of Atlanta. A rat who ran to the higher-ups and said, new cast member Pinky Cole has got a gun. And that rat is Phaedra Parks.
Be right back.
There is a rat in Atlanta. And I don't mean the entire city, but I'm referring to the cast of Real Housewives of Atlanta. A rat who ran to the higher-ups and said, new cast member Pinky Cole has got a gun. And that rat is Phaedra Parks. Now, that's what Pinky Cole is saying. And I think even Phaedra seems to, this all came out during the reunion, part 2 of the reunion, which aired on Sunday night. And Phaedra seems to be not denying that she went to the higher-ups, but I think it's about why. And there are people on the set of that reunion who think that the editors kind of did Phaedra dirty here. But this is how it aired when the whole rat thing came up.
You called the higher-ups on me.
But tell him why.
Oh, I will. She said I made a comment about having to protect myself when it related to a significant device. And I won't say it on this show.
Well, no, you should say it because you did make the comment.
No, first of all, I did not make the comment.
You did
no,
make
I
the comment.
didn't. But here's the problem. You literally just said that I could have picked up the phone and called you right then and there.
First
My
of
husband,
all, I kept saying,
I'm a grown-ass
shut up,
woman.
Pinky.
No, you did
Be
not.
quiet.
You did not say that. No,
I
you didn't,
did.
because you was too busy being a mute at that table because you was scared to talk. That is not the truth.
You two have never had this conversation.
No, she never had it with me.
Listen, since
but
we
instead she just wanted to drag me.
I've known this woman for many years. If she really wanted to make a thing, she would have called me or she would have called someone in New York, and she didn't. She actually would.
I would have put this on record that I am no threat to anybody in this room. I got a pancake ass, just like you said. I wouldn't hurt a fly.
How does first of all, how does a pancake
I don't know what
ass
her pancake ass has to do
relate
with whether
to
or not
violence?
she's violent or not. But the point was, as I've been told by people connected to the production, that Phaedra did have this conversation. It never aired during the season, but she had a conversation with Pinky. They're talking off camera, and Pinky said something about getting her gun, that she had a gun and she was ready to protect herself. Well, Phaedra's what people
Against
think.
Who?
Just in general.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta.
Atlanta.
And Phaedra was like, hey, we don't do that on Real Housewives. Please do not be carrying a gun when we're filming or you're doing things.
Oh, so was the insinuation doing it while they were doing the show?
She's basically saying, I know she has a gun, and when we're meeting up at these restaurants or parties, I don't want her to be bringing that device into these places.
And again, so the point is, during the reunion, I'm told, of course, what you see is edited down.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mention of what the significant device is, and so it seems like Phaedra is flipping out over something
that's not that serious, yeah.
And people on the set think that they should have left in the fact that the significant device was a gun because it shows why Phaedra was so upset
concerned
and why she ratted her out.
I'm not going to say what I thought the significant device was, but it was.
Oh my God!
What did you think? No, I want to know. A fat butt?
I'm not. Never mind.
No,
Never
I wanna
mind.
know.
It was not a toy.
Okay.
Well.
Excuse me.
Coming up.
Well, the TMZ brunch tour went a little viral. Josh and Mama.
Now, they are famous for making food that does not on its face sound appetizing.
Be right back.
Well, the TMZ brunch tour went a little viral. Normally, it doesn't sound like a really great thing. Now it does. Josh and Mama. If you watch them, if you follow them on TikTok, you know the sensation that they are. Well, they flew in from where do they come from?
All the way from South Carolina just to host our TMZ brunch bus.
Now, they are famous for making food that does not on its face sound appetizing.
Yeah, they go super viral for Mama making very unconventional recipes, and their recipes go viral and become famous. So most of the bus was their fans, and everyone knew like their dishes.
So what did they serve on the bus?
So they surprised us with their most famous dish, the
Get ready.
mayonnaise, cheese, what is it?
Mayonnaise.
It's the mayonnaise, cheese, and pineapple.
Yeah. Pineapple, mayonnaise, and cheese. Pineapple, mayonnaise, and cheese.
Wait, actually,
this is what
lettuce, mayonnaise, pineapple, cheddar cheese, cherry on top.
Tawana, you tried it. What did you think?
Netta, you tried it. What did you think?
Well, you can see in the video that their fans loved it.
It was actually shocking. Like, people were like opening it and taking large bites.
All right, maybe she didn't love it.
I will say though, I know I promised you Queen Latifah soon, and that's coming, hopefully. But I think Josh,
she
did.
I did.
Wow.
But I do think Josh and Mama come pretty close to Queen Latifah. This TikTok duo, the most charming host we've ever had. We never had a mom and son do it together.
Sweet.
The cutest.
That's great.
And
That's sweet.
shout out to Coach West. We have such big plans. Like, I can't wait to surprise you guys with like our
more food.
Wait,
Wow.
more food, more music, more Queen Latifah.
The TMZ brunch tour.
Coming up.
When you become an ambassador for a brand, there's some responsibility that comes along with it. You basically have to have that brand with you at all times, and more importantly,
You cannot consume competing brands.
Be right back.
you know, when you become an ambassador for a brand, there's some responsibility that comes along with it. You basically have to have that brand with you at all times, and more importantly,
you cannot consume competing brands.
You can't have a competitor. So, cut to comedian Shane Gillis sitting at an MLS game with Matthew McConaughey, Austin taking on Dallas, and he didn't expect to be on camera. They're sitting in a box, but suddenly he was on camera, and right next to him was a Dos Equis, which somebody very smart standing next to him realized and handed him a Bud Light because
Bud Light is his.
That's who his sponsor is. That's who he's a spokesman for.
But how did somebody have?
But when he sat down, now what we're told by some people close to Shane, the Dos Equis can belong to someone who was sitting next to him on the other side. It was never his because he would obviously only.
So they just have various brands of beer right off camera.
But I'm sure there's a Bud Light person following Shane wherever he goes, just in case a camera goes on.
Boy, in the nick of time.
Indeed.